This is episode 7 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast with me, Anthony Peressini, and my co-host, James Kelly. In this one, our Coach's Corner special, we sit down with 3 athletes from the Elite 15. My co-host, James Kelly, Kate Davey, and Lauren Griffith. The 3 athletes will go over how their race went and a little bit of background and what it was like being on the floor. In this episode, let's listen to the Elite 15 describe their race. Let's make hybrid fitness work for you. All right, so I think this is episode 7 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. We got me and JK over here, and today we are joined by Kate Davey and Lauren Griffith. You guys just finished, all of you guys just finished your Elite 15 races. So I figured we're all going to have our own breakdowns, but maybe we can talk a little bit about it all together since we're going to do it. And maybe in this episode as well, I will have my wife, Lauren, talk separately with me. She couldn't be here right now at this time, but we'll get another person on. So, who do we want to start with? Let's go ladies first.
I was going to say that.
We'll go ladies first.
Hey, that's you.
And any questions that either of you guys have for each other as well, just say them and we'll go from there. Lauren. Let's start with your breakdown since you tried to pass it off.
Okay, that's fair. I'll live with that.
Let's go with just short, brief description of how you felt the race went, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I mean, technically, I already had my breakdown, so, got past that part. But the race, it started out where I felt really good. And I was right where I wanted to be, obviously, early stages of any race, you're like, yeah, of course I feel great. And then it was right a few steps into the sled push, I just felt this pop in my calf. And I tried to rationalize it. I was like, it's fine. Like it's okay. It's probably just hurting. Maybe I cramped up a little and I just kept trying to go. And it was like every step just started hurting more and more. And then as I'm running by, getting you asking, are you okay? And no, but I'm still going, I guess. And there's just all these points where I kept thinking, I'll just make it to the next station and see how I'm feeling. And then maybe I can stop there. And then it was just, I'm this far in the race, so I can finish and gut it out. So it wasn't a beautiful race or how I had planned. You can't anticipate that something like that's going to happen, or any amount of dreaming.
Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
like on the actual moment when you thought something happened, your calf, because there's a difference between knowing there's it's a feeling of an injury versus a feeling of just lactic acid buildup, right? But obviously it was in the sled push.
Yeah.
So you're actually using your calf.
Yeah.
Right?
Trying to.
Take us through it. Did you actually feel a pop? And it was a pop? Or was it in your head, was it that could have been a pop? Or is this just the sleds?
It was at a pop.
Yeah. So you definitely knew it was something different than just the lactate threshold.
Yeah.
Lactate buildup.
Yeah, because you do use your calves, but the pop, it's localized to just the one single spot in my calf, and then a fun little straight-legged run for everything. I couldn't do any push off of it, so burpee broad jumps, they kept getting on me. I mean, in the briefing they kept telling us these are the movement standards, and you're like, of course, everyone knows how to do burpees, and then I tried to find ways that I wasn't necessarily jumping off my right foot because it just was so
you had
painful.
To change the whole
But they're told me the standards, they're you got to keep going back, that's another 5-meter penalty, because I'm just trying to find any sort of way to keep moving and keep going while not really being able to do everything as well as I could.
So
I've done my calf before, and you can't jump on it. And so yeah, and that freaks me out even because for a long time after I'd done my calf, I was almost too scared to jump on it. It took me a while to get the confidence to jump on it again. So even the thought of doing a burpee and then jumping forward, like, just makes me go, oh no, like, how did you even do that? That's amazing. Like, that you got through the race, quite frankly.
It was a lot of faking a one-legged hop. Yeah, I think it's just being there and like part of the adrenaline. You're just like, yeah, I'm gonna be okay. I just need to make it through and gut it out. Today I've definitely been a little bit more of a gimp and just.
Well, I knew, like, when I saw you out running, I could see instantly when I came up behind you. I thought, she's not okay. Like, she's in pain, and your run, you could see it was like yeah, you're protecting the injured side. You're running more on the sort of stronger side, and you could instantly see something had happened. So I really felt for you.
So just looking at it, like, I mean, we talked about it already a little, that it could have been a plantaris injury. Dorsiflexion with a extended knee is what can cause that, which on a sled push, that's exactly the position you're in.
Yeah.
I would imagine for the burpees, you basically just did extra reps because your jumps weren't as far. So it cost you extra burpees. Yeah. It definitely cost you on the run. Outside looking in, you were looking great running. Like, you were executing a plan. The first run, the ski erg, the second run, like, it was fantastic. You were absolutely right where you needed to be. And you told me after, like, up to that point, you were like, I'm in this race.
Yeah.
This, like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and just for reference, the goal for you this weekend was a podium, right?
Right.
And unbroken wall balls. There was 2 goals.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into that. But the first goal was be the podium. And you were going to do that by sticking to those front ladies. And you did that really well.
Yeah.
You were in that third sled lane, which from the guys' race, that's where Ronkovic was. Looked like a great lane to be in. And unfortunately, obviously, just that first length is where it came about.
Yeah.
And no matter what it was or what it is, you started off fantastic, and the fear of something like that happening, no matter where you are at in the race, no matter what race it is, that is going to shut any athlete down in a race.
Yeah.
I know you ran by me and you stopped and talked to me on a run in the middle of the race. You stopped and talked to me. And I mean, what did I say? It was just like, it's up to you. Like, if you can do it, you're going to be happier if you finish.
Yeah.
But if it's going to cause long-term damage, you have to stop. You made the choice to keep going. And looking back on it now, I think it was a good choice.
Yeah.
We'll see in a week what it feels like, if it was or not.
We'll see.
But otherwise, like, I thought it was great. And as far as your second goal goes, the unbroken wall balls, you had it in hand. Would you get to like 93?
Yeah,
and the ball
that
slipped out and hit
includes
your
like
face or something?
the 5 no reps.
Yeah.
So it would have been like 98. I was going through, and my joke with Anthony is he asks me every time I do wall balls, like, where was the breakdown for you that caused you to like slip up if you're going unbroken? And I usually, like, in my little home gym, it gets a little hot, and I'm usually like just so sweaty that it gets too wet, and it like will slip and hit me in the face. So that's my thing. I'm like, well, I just, hit myself in the face with a wall ball. And that pretty much happened at like 93. So I had like 7 to go, and it was just so slick, and I'm trying to hold this ball and get it up without like it slipping and falling and hitting me in the face. So I was really close. Almost got that goal.
Almost got it. It's all right. I mean, overall,
we should give it to her.
Yeah. Overall, first off, like,
pity points
rookie season world championships. And I told you this at the finish line, but I don't know if you heard me because
Probably
you were
not.
in a lot of pain. There's nowhere else better for this to have happened. If you're gonna have a race like this, like if this had happened in Chicago, your very first one where you qualified time-wise to be in the Elite 15, like, then you never make it to the Elite 15. it happens in LA where you get your best time, then you don't have that time for the Elite 15. If it happens at DC where you get your qualifier, you don't make it to Worlds.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of the end goal one. It's never a good time for it to happen, but if it has to happen, at least like you've gotten this far in the season before it did.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of time before the next season. Really, no matter what we do, we get a lot of time before it's upon us. So we can heal, all of you. We can heal. We can get better, and we can start to attack the next season when you need to.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add?
I think that pretty well sums it up.
Do you guys have any questions for Lauren?
No, I think it was the right decision too, because when we spoke today, you said if I didn't finish, I would be sitting here today thinking, could I have done? And that would have been a question in your head, and I think you might have kicked yourself. And I know it's obviously painful, and I hope it is a quick recovery, but I think you would have beaten yourself up more.
Yeah.
And definitely from when I spoke to you this morning, that was quite apparent. And I'm really proud of the fact you finished. And we discussed, like, if you quit, you then start quitting more and more, and it becomes like that psychological thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really brave thing just to keep going because, that's grit and determination. So you should be really proud of what you did.
That's, of course, in the moment you're like, this is awful and terrible, but there's just some things that you have to weigh out of like what is going to be worse from this. And I think the worst thing I could have done was having that question of like, could I have done something more beyond that? And I finished knowing that I at least gave what I had on that day, and it might not have been what I was hoping for, but it happened. So.
What is
Fantastic.
your favorite station?
Ew. Do people have that?
Yeah, mine's burpees.
Oh, no. I don't know if I
can
can be here anymore. Farmers carry?
Have I not taught you guys you have to love the burpees?
I love them.
Oh. I mean,
That's
yes.
the worst
it's
one, but you have to love
burpees.
them.
I think it's easier because I'm little. I've got less levers.
Yeah, well, that's good for
Closer to the floor.
So, all right. Thanks, Lauren. We'll come back and we'll talk more about it. We'll go around again because I got some other questions for all you guys. But let's go on to Kate's race. Kate, going into this race when we started working maybe 6 weeks ago now. When was Cologne?
8?
7 weeks ago? 8 weeks ago?
7 or 8 weeks,
So we had basically one good training block.
Yeah.
You came in, you were like, I don't want to take last or maybe top 10. And what,
I remember
like,
this
just
chat.
tell me what was my response to that?
So, first of all, you said, what are your goals this season? And I said my goals. And you went, yeah, but you've now achieved those. We need a new goal, Kate.
Yeah.
So then I said, I would like to be top 10. And you kind of pulled a bit of a face. And you went, well, so if we're saying top 10, then do you want to be in the top, like, 2/3? And then you went, but if you just worked a bit hard, like, if you just, it's not far off of saying, like, the top half. And I'm going to leave it to you, but why don't we say the top half? But I'm going to let you decide. And I'm like, and so I'm like, he's kind of basically told me my target and then said, I'll let you decide. But you've come back to me. I was like, okay, we're going top half.
But what did I say about it? I said, what do you think your highest potential is? Like, and I knew, because before we talked, I looked it up. Like, if you put everything where you were at that moment, the highest you would have placed, I thought, like, based on who I thought was going to be in, I thought 7th place would be amazing for her, right? So why don't aim for that? What place did you end up coming? 6th place. You ended up getting a wonderful 6th place.
I think I shocked myself as well as a few others.
Well, what place were you in at the highest point of the race?
2nd.
Right. And what happened? What went through your mind when you were sitting in 2nd place in the race?
I'm not going to lie. I lost my head a bit because it like I was sitting on the rower next to Meg Jacoby, and so I ran in and I thought, oh no, I must have missed a lap because I didn't realise what had happened in the burpees. And I checked my watch. I was like, I didn't miss a lap. oh my goodness, I'm in second, and I kind of panicked because I'm not used to being in second in Elite 15, and it was territory that I'm not used to being in, so it freaked me out a little bit. So I think there must be an amazing photo that someone can capture where I'm on the rower. I think I did this, and I saw Meg. I think Meg saw me, and today we had a chat. And I said, I don't know who was more shocked, you or me, and we couldn't stop laughing. And I really hope there's a picture of us both doing this, because it would be great to caption it underneath. And then I was...
Well, if you don't mind me asking, so you've had plenty of instances where you've been top, or, you know, like top two, top athlete out there. Why would you feel that it's different from like a pro race to
Elite 15 is different level though. Like it's like the top 15 athletes in the world.
But I'm going to interject here because that's a mental block.
But I think it just unnerved me, because I guess the highest I've ever been, I think in Vienna, maybe I went up to 6th momentarily for one point, and then the best I've come is 9th. So I think it was a shock to most people. Even my family went, whoa, like, what's happened? And I think it probably just shocked me a little bit. But now, then I held that for a bit, and I stayed in the top 3 for a little while, top 4 for
3 stations.
Yeah, so which is a quarter of the race, or more than. So
it's a third of the race.
Now I think, well, before I just had a glimpse at 6th place, and I managed to come 9th. I stayed there for a while. Yes, I came 6th, but hey, if I work on the bits around it, why can't I stay there now?
Exactly.
So now, the mental block is going.
That's one of the things, is like, you showed yourself, you belong there. You can be there. You can compete with these women at any race, right? So I think that's a really good thing to show yourself. Going into next season, you should have a lot of confidence now. We don't know how many auto qualifiers they're going to be. Maybe it only rolls down to 5th spot, so you just miss out. But you also finished not far behind Viola and Linda, which made you 3rd European, and you can jump up. Why not go for, top European or shoot at the podium next year? Just because, like, you've seen what it's like there. It can happen.
And the changes I've seen to my fitness and my running in the last 8 weeks and working with you, and the data we've sort of done, I'm really excited for like the next 8 weeks, the next 16 weeks. Like if we can do that in 8 or 9 weeks, what can we achieve with more? So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, so how much downtime are you having? I'm like, oh, I know I need some, but I want to go. But yeah, I probably need to have like a couple of weeks just to chill out. But I almost want to just...
I'm sorry, Kate. It's only a couple of days.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
you have tonight.
But
I'm going to root for Team USA, so I'm actually going to say you should go run a half marathon right now.
Well, Anthony says so I do it.
Yeah.
But I was just talking...
in the relay, you should run slow.
So I was talking to JK earlier, and like we were just saying about like the running and just doing everything. When I sort of came on board, some people were like, oh, isn't it a risk to do this of 8 weeks? And I didn't think it was, but also I think where I was sat, I was maybe finishing sort of 10th, 11th, 12th. I would rather risk and just go for it and try and get a higher finish, and even if it didn't work, finish like 15th. I would rather take that risk, but I don't think it was a risk. But do everything to the letter, everything you send me, everything you tell me. I'm just like, okay, Anthony says it, so I do it. And we were just discussing even those last 10-minute, like when you're, I can't be bothered to do that last 10-minute thing. It's only 10 minutes. It's there for a reason. And every 10 minutes adds up over a week. And I just want to put the little green tick in the box, because otherwise...
I love that little tick.
Yeah!
So
Yeah! And I can't handle not ticking that last box. And if you're going to do it, and you've put all that time in, you do it properly. And it was really nice because I also wanted to show you, like, I've taken this really seriously. I've taken what you've told me seriously, and I wanted to show you out there. I'm not here messing around, or I'm not just doing it half-heartedly. I really want it, and I really want to learn. So
I think you need to give yourself credit for that, Kate, because it's hard to. Change is hard, right? Or like you said just then, it was a risk, but being open minded is really hard to be if you've come from, like, I know you had coaches in the past and stuff, but I'm assuming you were like coaching yourself to some extent as well. And you know where I'm going here is like you got to give yourself credit for making the choice of even getting in contact with Lauren and Anthony and having that open mind to the possibility of doing things differently. Because at the end of the day, like, we discuss this a lot, Anthony and I, that the sport, hybrid, HYROX, DECA, like hybrid fitness is so young. Like, there's no one way to do it. Like, there's no, like, as much as I'm the first to say that his way is probably these knees, but he will even say that he hasn't even absolutely nailed it yet. No, like,
you can always learn.
You can always learn. So you got to get. So being open minded is the best. I personally is the number one thing you need to be a progressive athlete, I believe. So that's what you've done the last 8 weeks.
yeah, I've really enjoyed the programming. Yeah. I've really enjoyed not drilling HYROX so much, working on other areas. I've enjoyed learning, like, our one-to-ones. You know, you always have more than enough time. You know, if a call's ending, you're like, do you want to jump on another call? Have we got more? Like, you never cut us off. And I love that, because you never feel like you're on the clock with you, and you're always so enthusiastic to chat and to make sure that I understand what you're trying to tell me. And yeah, I've learned so much, and just some things you say, I think, oh, how did I never even see it like that? Or you've just made something. Oh wow! They agree.
So what happens? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys saying all that.
Like, you make something that I haven't thought of, like, quite simple, or you break it down, and I go, oh, okay, that's not half as hard as I think it was. And I had that in my head, like little things you told me to do in the race. It was there in my head. I'm like, right, remember this bit, remember that bit. Okay, this is the next part of the plan. And I was just ticking those things off. Like those green boxes, I was ticking them off in my head as I went through the race. So it was really useful.
Nice. I appreciate that, guys. Let's get to James's race. And if you guys have any questions, I was actually going to come back as well and ask you guys about different aspects of the race, but maybe we can do that later. Do another one of these. James, Mr. Podium, tell us, first off, what was your goal and how do you feel you came up to it?
It's funny because I had 2 goals last night and I didn't get either of them. First one was to win, and we'll get into that in a second, but my second was unbroken wall balls as well. So
before you go into that, I have one question. The number of times we visualized this race, did you ever see it going this way?
No. Not like, no. I'm like, to answer that though, like, I'm ecstatic. I'm very like over the moon with my performance. Like, but hindsight's a funny thing, right? Like 24 hours afterwards, you're like, could have done this, could have done that, or but I guess like on that, right? Anthony and I did some very specific visualization sessions where we went through different things that could potentially happen in the race, and we pretty much raced raced the race beforehand, and I pretty much executed the race as well as I could have, with respect to starting out the way I started, and then building into the race, and so on and so forth. I did visualize that I was going to come home strong, like I did in the back end. Apart from, in my eyes, not necessarily executing the wall balls as much as I could have, but the greatest thing about what we're doing, and like compared to most other HYROX athletes, is that we're racing. Most other HYROX athletes out there are time trialing, right? That's just a sport. And one thing that I've learned this year is that I'm a racer. Like, I thrive off racing against the guy next to me. And last night kind of proved that. I personally think that like being fourth and fifth most of the way kind of gave me, like, sorry, I don't know where I'm going here, but like what I'm saying is that, like, I executed the race as well as possible, right? But hindsight's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
So, just about your race, you were in the sleds, and in your race, you ended up, by the time the sled pull was done, I think you were a minute down from those top three guys. And then on the burpees, on the farmer carry, and on the lunges, you clawed back a ton of time, and the runs on those as well, which that's kind of like what we expected, was you'd have some room to make up after the sleds. We expected Alex and Hunter right there. And I'd say some of the best things I saw from you is your intention in the race of what you were doing. Like, you got into the rower, you ran through the transitions, you were intentional in all your movements, you attacked the runs and never fell off. You never let the gap widen. But I think at the beginning, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like you kind of had the same feeling as Kate, as like, do I belong up here with these three men in the first, probably, well, in the sleds, the second and third station. And then, like, at the burpees, you realized they weren't getting ahead of you, and you kind of were like, I belong, I'm going to catch them. And I think on the rower, when I saw you and you winked at me, I was like, all right, he's good. He's good to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And there was a part of that that's true, right? Like, the sleds, especially that pull, really, really got me. Hello. Hi, baby. And then, the kind of the thing is that I kind of like, and girls, you can relate to this, like, during a race, right? What you think, right? Even at the start, even in the warm up, the ultimate, like, the only thing I was thinking is, like, the amount of work I've done, like, for last night. And even after the sled, when that sled pull absolutely pulled me, I just had belief that my fitness was still going to come back, and that I still had belief that when I was down like 75 seconds, I think, that I was going to still reel them back at some point. And it was just the belief that kind of got me there in the end. Got at least Hunter in the end.
I'd say one thing I was the most proud of you is there was a point in the race where Paleo caught you. And instead of, like, accepting that and thinking that's the point you were going to fall back, you kind of just doubled down, and you guys were doing burpees together, and it kind of just you said, no, this is where I'm going to win. And you brought him with you for about 2 lengths, and then he fell way back of you. But
Yeah.
like he was a full length back by the time you left.
Yeah.
And you were just gaining on the guys ahead. And you pushing that pace right there, I think, was really important for your race overall.
Yeah, and it's funny because everyone would know here when you get taken over or you take someone over, it's like when Pele took me over on that sled pull, I hated it. I hated the whole process, and I remember that run afterwards. I trying to catch him, but he's a great runner. That we kind of kept the same distance, but as soon as I got into those burpees, I knew that I was coming out before him, and I told myself that. And I don't necessarily know if he's good at burpees or anything, and it didn't matter because I just knew I was gonna get him. But again, it just comes back to that belief, and like we've been going over it, like over the course of the 12 weeks or so that we've been working together, that like the amount of work that I've like, it's all about being confident with the work that you've done. Like that's the beauty of the sport, right? That's why I'm like addicted to it, because it's all about being confident with the work you've put in. And I'll be honest with you, like I think when I overtook Hunter in the lunges, in my head it was a big moment. As much as it wasn't a goal for me, that it was to beat Hunter, that wasn't a goal, but it was a big moment for me because I didn't just take him. I took him hard, and didn't see him then. And yeah, I was very proud of that moment, and then ultimately hanging in there for that third spot. And I'm a bit like you. I just can't wait to get back into it now.
All right. I know we got to get these two to awards, so why don't we, if you guys have time, we can pick it up after and do a part 2. Otherwise, we'll end it here.
We were unable to get together for a part 2 of this discussion. I'll end up going over the race with each athlete individually in their weekly one-to-one calls. In future episodes, we may have guests to help with the coaching athlete discussion, as well as dive a little deeper into the aspects of the race on next week's episode. You can find JK on Instagram at JK Hybrid Coaching, or on YouTube at James Kelly and Georgie Vesely, previously the Hybrid Hub. They are trying to grow that YouTube channel to monetize it, so let's give them some views and subscriptions if you can. I love their content they put out on a weekly basis. You can find me and my wife Lauren on Instagram at The Hybrid Engine, or on YouTube, The Hybrid Engine. If you have not got a chance to watch the Road to Nice video we put out of the Hybrid Engine's 4 Elite 15 athletes and their journey to the World Championships in Nice this year, I recommend you give it a watch. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or leave us a review to this podcast on whatever platform you stream from, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Thank you. Have a great week.